Here.
Councilmember Mosley?
Here.
Wilden?
Here.
Vice Mayor Coe?
Here.
Mayor Misha?
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Could you all please join me in prayer? By Mayor, City Council, and Warren City. Propose, discuss, deliberate, or take any matter brought up during this summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. As a reminder, if you wish to speak to the council on a matter which is not listed on the agenda, you must submit a request to speak form to the city clerk or the city manager by the end of this event.
Okay. Passing on from the Verde Valley Homeless Coalition. This past weekend, they had their first walk a mile in my shoes. Event was about hope, perseverance, and the power of community, and we couldn't have done it without our incredible sponsors. Mad Hattie, Chamber of Commerce, Cottonwood Police Department, Salt Mine Wine, Sedona Mago, Pumping, the Avify Broadcast. Your generosity and partnership help bring together in compassion and action from all of us at Verde Valley Homeless Coalition. If you wish to learn more or continue supporting our work, please visit verdevalleyhomelesscoalition.com. Also, I'm going to throw somebody under the bus, Mr. Ryan Bigelow. For the event, took his shoes off, put on one of our pairs, and walked a mile in one of our homeless people's shoes. So, Mr. Ryan, thank you very much for that. You bet. Yeah, I didn't. I did. And then also, finally, I want to say congratulations for the people from here over. Congratulations. You've been here for a year. Debbie is...
Thank you.
Congratulations on your anniversary.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
That's it for me.
It feels like more than a year, but yeah.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Where does time go?
Yeah. I have a few to add. So I represented the city at the NACOG, Northern Arizona Council of Governments Regional Council meeting on October 23rd. NACOG staff provided updates, including the good news that to date, there's been no interruption in NACOG managed services like Head Start and others which benefit our community. Those services are continuing despite some of the discontinuation or slowing of services because of the government shutdown. On Halloween, council attended the city's trunk or treat event. It was a great event. There was a steady stream of costumed visitors of all ages who were grateful for the candy treats and for all the games. that were managed by our Cottonwood Youth Advisory Commission. Old Town was also vibrant, with many merchants handing out candy and providing fun entertainment at Old Town Square. So many thanks to city staff and the Old Town merchants for their effort. Saturday, November 1st was a busy day. The Walk a Mile event in my shoes. Verde Valley Habitat for Humanity also celebrated its 30th anniversary with a car show. And there was a Day of the Dead event, their second annual Day of the Dead event at the Cottonwood Cemetery. And finally, yesterday, council attended the 28-year celebration of Foothills Bank on State Route 89. They've been a great contributing member to our community for many years. Thank you.
Do you happen to know who won the contest for the Halloween? Does anybody? Do you know who won? Who was that?
I'll defer to our talented executive assistant to gloat that the administration department won the best department.
Yes.
So there we go. Thank you folks very much for those that voted. I'll pay you later.
But yeah, trunk or treat was really well attended, well provided for by our own city staff. I think everybody was out there. I just sort of went down the line saying hi to everybody. So thanks a lot for the great city participation. It was really great to see everybody out that evening.
On October 28th, Councilmember Mosley and I attended a ribbon cutting for Sparrow Printing. It was held at the Chamber of Commerce. Sparrow Printing is actually based out of Prescott, but they're expanding their services into the Verde Valley, including Cottonwood. And it's not just printing services, but it's also banners and all other kinds of marketing-related items that they can assist businesses on.
The only other thing I wanted to add is that a week ago last Friday, I attended a water tour that was set up by the Nature Conservancy. Legislators were and other significant people from the water from WIFA came up. They are the Water Finance Authority. They attended a water tour that started in Camp Verde. We stopped by the river at Alcantara and had lunch, and then kind of blew on through Cottonwood. Cottonwood was not really the star of that show, but I did get to speak on the bus. And then we went on to Clarkdale, and part of the rationale for doing that was to make clear how important funding is. We need funding at every level to take care of aging water infrastructure and other water needs. Water is absolutely essential. There are lots of issues surrounding water rights, and so some of those things were things that we were able to visit with legislators about and talk about throughout the course of the day. It was a lovely day, and an important one, I think, for our communities to be able to express their water needs. Anything else? Okay.
Madam Mayor, if council has nothing else, just wanted to update on a few items from the staff level. Just a reminder to the community that Walking on Main is happening this weekend in Old Town. We'd like to invite both the council and the public to join us for a day filled with live music throughout the day, a classic car show along Main Street, local vendors, food, community activities, and a wine tasting hosted by the Verde Valley Wine Consortium. While you're out, we encourage you to stop by the clubhouse for the Double Vision Art Show, which will run all weekend. Council and the public are also invited to attend the Veterans Day Memorial and Biannual Flag Changeout ceremony at the Military Service Park on Tuesday, November 11th, hosted by American Legion Post 25. The ceremony begins at 1 p.m. This is a meaningful event to honor our veterans and participate in the community's tribute. And then lastly, the Greater Verde Valley Chamber of Commerce invites everyone to attend what we're calling the Stationary Parade and Christmas Bazaar on Saturday, December 6th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Verde Valley Fairgrounds. This year's theme is Christmas Around the World. Due to the Main Street construction in the next phase, which will be performed by ADOT, the event has been reimagined as a walk-through celebration featuring festive floats, food and craft vendors, holiday music from Yavapai Broadcasting, and photos with Santa and Mrs. Claus. Dress warmly and join us in celebrating the season. For details or float registration, please contact the Chamber. I was honored today that my wife and I have been chosen as the Grand Marshals for the stationary parade, so while we don't get to ride in a float, we will have a booth there, and folks can stop by and ask any questions or yell at me for anything that I've done so far since I've been here. But appreciate the opportunity to continue to be part of these events. Also, if I can just follow up, this was my first trunk or treat here, and just to follow up on what Council said, the turnout was amazing. As a community, I continue to say that we continue to punch above our weight when it comes to community events and the turnouts that we get. And so while the parade is a departure from what we've done in the past because of circumstances, the Chamber puts a lot of effort into it. We support them in their endeavor, and we think it'll be a great event, and next year we'll be back even better than what we've done previously.
Okay. Next is call to the public. The public may address the council on matters directly relating to city business that are not listed on the agenda during the call to the public by submitting a written request to speak form to the city clerk no later than the conclusion of the information reports updates portion of the agenda. There is a 3-minute time frame per speaker, and all comments shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any member thereof, staff, or audience. The mayor may direct a speaker to stop speaking and leave the podium or adjourn the meeting if anyone becomes disorderly or uncivil, makes personal attacks against any person or persons, or if the mayor determines that the speaker is speaking about items that are outside the city's legal authority to act. First is Mark Bullock. Would you step up and introduce yourself, please? Yes, right over there.
How you doing? I'm Mark Bullock, and what I want to address today is a neighbor of mine, and I've called code enforcement, and they told me that they can't do anything. And the problem is they don't have trash service, so all their trash ends up in their yard. They have broken down cars and broken windows, and quite honestly, the house is, in my opinion, uninhabitable. There's a rodent problem. There's all kinds of code enforcement, building code enforcement issues on that house. Several windows are broken. I don't even know how they live in that house, but I live right next door, and I've complained to code enforcement and several times, a lot of us have, and nothing seems to change, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. The other day I went in the backyard and my dog had a rat in its mouth. And, I love this community. I love Cottonwood. I love my neighborhood. And it's just this one house that's always a problem. And so we're here tonight to address this council, and hopefully that we can get some changes. I know there's an abatement program. Is that available? I don't know. This house needs to be cleaned up. I've talked to them directly, and I got a bunch of lip service where they, and nothing gets done. And I've lived there for 13 years, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. So I don't know what else to do, so we're here trying to get this place cleaned up to a livable standard. It doesn't have to be spotless, it just has to be livable. And me and my wife have been angry over this whole situation. It just keeps getting worse, and I've seen so many neighborhoods, I work on houses for a living, and I've seen so many neighborhoods, it starts with one, and it just starts to work like cancer throughout the neighborhood. And, this is the biggest investment I've ever made in my life, is buying this house in this community. And we're at the point where we're considering selling and moving the hell out of here, because nothing ever gets done. And, I've called the fire department, and, it's a code enforcement issue, blah, blah. The weeds are this high, broken down cars. There's been 2 mattresses in the front driveway for over 5 years. Nobody should have to live next to that stuff, and, that's my time, so.
Thanks, Mr. Bullock. Sandy Addington?
Hi, my name's Sandy Coddington. I also live on Mesquite Drive, the house that we're talking about, and I have the same issues. I see the front yard, it's full of weeds. I think it's a fire hazard. I think it's a health hazard because rodents, snakes, and I have seen all of this stuff, junk in the front yard. Something's got to be done. I've been there for 10 years and I haven't seen anything. I really don't have anything more to say than what Mark said, but just to reinforce, it's a problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am? Okay. What was the address again?
The house is the problem, 215 West Mesquite Drive.
Thank you.
Sherry Bullock?
Good evening. Thank you for your time. As several of us have stated, I'd like to be put on the agenda so that I could display a more comprehensive report with pictures. I submitted with the City Clerk a request for records of all the written requests and complaints at the code enforcement on Main Street. They told me that it was being referred to criminal court. And as I said, I've lived there 13 years. People have tried for 35 years. And it's a health and safety hazard. I've called the health department. There's no health department. They agree with me. So right now, we're trying to recourse of bringing it to your attention. So I'd like to be put on the agenda. So like I said, I could show pictures. You could see all the times that me and several of the neighbors have went down to code enforcement on Main Street and filed reports. They're well aware of this property. It has been referred to the court system. And I was told that a year ago, but then they're like, oh, they're backed up. In the meantime, there's a refrigerator there that's a safety hazard. There's little kids that could open it and get killed. There's children in the neighborhood besides the rats and the infestation, and I can turn it off, but I know that there is a recourse. If I wanted to sell the house, I would lose probably 5 to 10% of my selling price. And a lot of people agree that it's they're like, we don't have funding. Well, I know property values have went up 300% in the past 13 years, and there is money that this wouldn't be happening in Sedona. Everybody's done their due recourse. Supposedly, there's a new person in code enforcement that's taken over, and a manager, and that they're looking into abatement, like community, like maybe Habitat for Community or some churches that would help clean up. There was a gentleman, our neighbor's son-in-law, that even offered to, we have made offers when they've had trailers, hey, we'll help you load up the stuff, haul it away. And they didn't take it up an offer. I'll get to it. So there has been, in good faith effort of the community to reach out to get this cleaned up, but there's a hornet's nest where they put the weeds, there's rats, there's been a mattress out there for years, so that's what I request to be put on the agenda so that I can show you guys evidence and you can see all the reports that have been submitted, probably from about like 10 people in the neighborhood. And then you can see what's going on, and you can give me some updates on where it is when it goes to court so that we can come. People haven't showed up because they've tried for 15, 20 years, and this is a continual problem. Thank you for your time. And it is 215 West Mesquite Drive.
Thank you. Deborah Feld.
Hi, my name's Deborah. I am also here regarding the same property. I've lived in this neighborhood for over 12 years, walk by there every day. It's always been an eyesore, but it's gotten progressively worse over the years. And they are in direct violation of your municipal coding and zoning ordinance in the following ways. There are inoperable vehicles in the front yard and the driveway that are visible from the street and from adjacent properties. They've had no trash collection for at least 2 months. They're dumping their household waste in the front yard, and the bags are getting ripped open and dispersed by animals. The weeds and grasses are thigh-high, and this poses a fire hazard not only to that property but to the adjacent properties. The front yard is covered with debris, trash, broken toys, furniture, mattresses, appliances, tires, you name it. This is all in direct violation of your ordinance. And as Sherry said, numerous complaints have been made, but the city fails to enforce their own ordinance. And this is a very frustrating problem. I feel like you're failing our neighborhood by not enforcing your own ordinances. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Jan Mosher.
Wow, I think the city does direct them to cut the weeds in the barrel pit that's out in front of the house. Other than that, it's just, like everybody has said, it's just continuing to not get any attention for this home that I understand was given to them by his parents. I mean, that's quite a gift to let it destroy itself because, I don't know, maybe they are sick, maybe they don't have time, but come on. I know they've had foster children in there, and I have always been concerned about the welfare of these children. They could be adults by now. I don't know that any of them still live there, but I would lose money on my home at 602 West Mesquite Drive if I were to list it, to sell it, because you sort of have to go buy that house, and it's pretty distracting. I also, in the 15 years I've been there, have reported this failure to respect your neighbors. Come on. We're all in this together, but these people have kind of checked out from responsibility, and it's really sad to set that kind of a role model for their own children, let alone these foster kids. So anytime anybody wants to do a drive-by, I have a car, I'll take you. It's hard to miss, unfortunately. If you've never had an experience with what we call a trash house, it's sad and it's disgusting and it's a whole lot of stuff. And I don't know anybody in our neighborhood that wouldn't help them clean it up. We're all in this together. Unfortunately, there's always a rotten apple in the group. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Bill Wagner.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I'm providing each of you with a handout, my proposed update to City Ordinance Number 721, adopted November 1, 2022. This ordinance sets the current Cottonwood Airport rates and fees. A few months ago, I was informed and invited by the airport manager to participate in an upcoming airport fee committee. So I did what any responsible participant should do. I went to work studying the issue carefully. First and most important, there are no FAA regulations or directives that tells Cottonwood how to set its airport fees. None. Likewise, there is no restriction that prevents us from using our neighboring airports such as Sedona or Prescott as benchmarks. Second, since Ordinance 721 was last updated in November of 2022, the Consumer Price Index for the Western region has increased by 11%. At a minimum, our fee schedule should be raised by that amount just to maintain its original value. Third, in addition to inflation, we need a one-time market adjustment. Several of our current fees are so far below neighboring airports that we are essentially giving away city assets. Items such as non-aeronautical parking, aircraft transient parking, aircraft tie-downs are priced far under market, and this has created an ongoing revenue loss to the airport fund, requiring transfers from the city general fund to cover airport costs. This one-time correction will bring Cottonwood in line with reasonable comparable rates charged in our region. Fourth and last, to prevent this from happening again, I recommend adding an automatic CPI escalator to the ordinance so future fees stay aligned with inflation. This simple step ensures stability, removes the need for repeated catch-up increases. I presented these ideas to the Airport Commission a couple of months ago. Unfortunately, no commissioner has made a motion to even discuss this issue. We have also been told there may not be an airport fee committee at all, perhaps just an ad hoc meeting. So tonight I respectfully ask this City Council to take the lead, begin process of updating Ordinance 721 to reflect these straightforward improvements. This proposal does not address landing fees. That should be a separate discussion once this basic update is completed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could add one clarification. Mr. Wagner stated that there are no regulations related to airport rates and charges. That is not correct. The FAA publishes their compliance manual, which is more commonly referred to as Order 5190-.6, and they also have a policy statement on airport rates and charges that govern what cities are supposed to do. And to his credit, they do mention that airports should be operated so that they try to achieve a level of self-sustaining, but there are very specific requirements about unjust fees and differences related to aviation versus non-aviation activities.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. Next is Jeannie Gold.
Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members, I have some words to read here from my friend Betty Marks, who was unable to be here in person, and their words of thanks, which might be something welcomed at this moment. Unfortunately, because of physical limitations, I cannot be there this evening to say a word or two about our parks and recreation, library staff, and Cottonwood Police and Fire Departments, and would like to say a public thank you to all, and especially our new chiefs and their staff for all the great work that they do in our community. This said, there are two particular events that everyone did a wonderful job with, and I am certain Cottonwood residents are very appreciative. October 8th, National Night Out. I am deeply grateful that Cottonwood is blessed with a dedicated Parks and Recreation, along with the Cottonwood Public Library and wonderful police and fire departments. Bob and I had the privilege of attending the Cottonwood National Night Out. We had the opportunity to meet the new police chief and fire chief, who took the time to speak with us and express their enthusiasm for being part of the Cottonwood community. They, along with the crew of dedicated police and fire personnel, provided a fantastic evening of food, drinks, entertainment, games for kids and families, as well as a showcase for many local vendors. The helicopters were truly impressive, and the K-9 unit was amazing, although I kept a safe distance. The entire event was a shining example of exceptional organizational skills, professionalism, and a genuine commitment to community outreach. We are truly fortunate to have such an outstanding team serving Cottonwood. And on October 31st, once again, Cottonwood Fire and police departments joined forces with the Recreation Center to throw a totally awesome community Halloween party at the Rec Center, making memories and providing fun for families of Cottonwood. Additionally, Cottonwood City Hall and the Cottonwood Library employees graciously volunteered their time and talents to make it another successful event. We are lucky indeed to have such an outstanding Parks and Recreation team, as well as public library staff volunteers and emergency services personnel. And just a word from me, I really love this configuration, so I wanted to just say that out loud. It's the first time in my show of coming here that I can see all of you when I sit in the chair. I just wanted to say that as well.
Good evening to everyone. My name's Denise Allen, and I live at 802 North 8th Street. I've lived there 70 years, and my street has a complaint. People have, the complaint is about the address of 611 North 8th Street. The people that bought that house, they moved in a whole bunch of people there, and they're all parking like this to the street, and it's a real danger. When you come around the corner to go that way, I've almost had an accident twice, and I've also witnessed almost an accident, and I've also witnessed 2 children almost getting run over there. So it's a real danger to our street. I do represent right at this time and would like to be on the agenda to bring other people, residents of that street. They're not only angry about that, they're angry that the street has not been repaired in years. We came to the city council quite a few years ago, and we didn't want them to build those 2 huge apartments at the end of the street. There was one at the time because it flooded out our street. The water comes from all directions, and my yard, I even have pictures of my yard, looks like a lake. And it's not paved in front of my yard, so it's a big mud hole there. And it's a busy street because when they built the dog park, they put the dog park on the GPS of our street. So there's people coming down all summer in trailers and with their dogs looking for the dog park, and they turn around in the mud on my street. And anyway, the street needs to be repaired. I did come to the city manager that was temporary manager. He only had a week to be the manager, so I did complain to him, and we did and I started taking a petition of the street of everybody to sign about this. And right after I took the petition, somebody must have told somebody, because they come down and patched up the street a little bit with some asphalt. But the street is in bad repair, and it was in bad repair by being flooded all the time. And but the danger of that parking is bad. If that many people are living there, there's 7 to 8 cars there. And that many people on 1 acre, I don't know how many people are there. Anyway, if they're going to rent that many people a house, they ought to let them park in his yard, you know, instead of out on the street where we all have to suffer for it.
Okay.
Anyway, I'd like to be put on the agenda to bring the rest of the speak with me next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes call to the public. Next, we have a presentation to the City Council regarding the city's proposed commercial and business attraction services.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. I'm Tricia Lewis, Tourism and Economic Development Director. So I'm sure you saw in your packet, but for everybody who's watching or listening tonight, we had initially put out the RFP for this retail recruitment partnership back in March of this year, and we had received 3 qualified bids. We had done the interviews, and we had selected a firm, but that was in June, and that just did not pan out. And I think it's for the best. We have the best firm, at least Retail Strategies, that we would like to bring to you tonight. Tyler Sutterth is here from Retail Strategies, and I know this is a presentation. This isn't necessarily me discussing the history of what we've been through with this, but I am pleased to present to you Tyler Sutterth. I did meet with him earlier today, amongst other meetings we've had, and he's fantastic and very savvy. I'd like to hold the questions until after he's done his presentation because like you, I was very impressed with his information and how they proceed with contracts like this. What we'd like to do based on Mr. Cifuentes' direction is to do a presentation tonight. He's here from Texas to get just your perspective and understanding of the contract. And then in a few weeks, we will be coming before you with a request for approval of the contract. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Tyler up here and with Retail Strategies, and he's got a presentation for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Lewis. Welcome, Mr. Sutter.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tricia. Mayor, Council, City Manager Cifuentes, thank you guys so much for having me. I'd also like to quickly commend you guys. I have been to a lot of cities, a lot of towns. Since I've been here today, I've been to small businesses, I've been to national retailers, I've been to City Hall, and now I've been here, and everybody has been so friendly. The way that you guys interact with each other, you've not only got a beautiful city, but you've got beautiful people as well. So it is, from someone that goes to a lot of these, it is very noticed. You guys do a great job here. Mario alluded to it earlier, but you can tell that community is very important here, and that is highly evident. So my name is Tyler Sutterth. I'm from Retail Strategies. Our goal is to help communities grow how they want to grow. I came on with the company because that's what I love to see. I love to see small towns grow. I love to see cities prosper and be successful and do it how they want to do it with their goals in mind. So I will get to it. Okay, so that's our role. The way that we were born out of a commercial real estate brokerage. And we quickly evolved into Retail Strategies, and we realized that communities need, in order to grow, they need a network, they need time, they need resources and experience. We're able to provide all those things. At the very simplest form, we want to raise your tax base so that you can do the things you want to do. And the way that we know how to do that is through bringing retail to town. And again, we want to do that as a partner. I can't harp on it enough, but as I drove around Cottonwood today, and with people I interacted with today, it's so evident that we have got to do it in a way that keeps Cottonwood, because it is such a beautiful place, and you can tell it has such a charm, but people want more. There's things that aren't here that could really improve the quality of life. There's things that could improve your revenue as a city and allow you to do bigger and greater things. But like I said, I want to do that in partnership with you so that we do it the right way and we preserve what makes Cottonwood, Cottonwood. A little about us. We have worked with 800 communities since 2011. Kind of a quick story about our inception. Our CEO started in the commercial real estate business in Birmingham, Alabama. He was doing site selector work for Target and Starbucks and Jimmy John's, and everybody in Alabama knows everybody, so he knew a mayor in a small town, Sylacauga, Alabama, and that mayor came to him and said, hey, I've got some a tract of public utility land that we're not doing anything with, and I will give it to you if you can get Home Depot to come to town. And over the course of 3 years, we took that incentive to Home Depot and we pulled the right levers, and we were able to get Home Depot to come to Sylacauga, Alabama. And it's still there today off of Highway 280. And that's how we were born. We grew a lot out of that process. We realized that from our roots in commercial real estate and all the relationships we were able to leverage with developers and landowners and retailers, that we can put people in the right places. And that's how we were born. And now you can see all these, fun names on the board that we've gotten to come to towns. I think a big thing that is very notable, the person that got me to the company is our president, Lacey Beasley. She is on the board of directors of ICSC. It's the International Council of Shopping Centers. It's the biggest retail real estate organization in the world. And again, I want to drop her name because her being on the board of that organization gives our organization a lot of clout. We have 335 current clients. We bring an average of $105,000 of new annual sales tax revenue per client. We work with communities that are as small as 500 people, and smaller than that. I work with a community in Texas that has 471 community members, and it is all on septic. So it is a tough community to work with, but we work with communities as small as that. Our largest community is Tulsa, Oklahoma, about 700,000. But one of our most important things, we have a big team. We have about 80 people on staff, and we keep a 4-to-1 client ratio. We want to make sure that we give every one of our communities the love and the attention that they deserve. And as we grow and our communities grow, we add to our team. We don't just take on what we can't bear. If our communities and our service becomes so popular that we need to add people to the team, we do that because we think for you guys to bring us on, we want to have the resources to do that. So that is very important to me. One way that we start, we always start with a market analysis, and part of that is building out a customized trade area This is a picture of Cottonwood's trade area that we quickly drew up. Of a town of about 13,000 people, your trade area is almost 56,000 people. And when I say trade area, that just means people that are coming to Cottonwood for goods and services, people that come to Cottonwood to spend money. Now, we also look at the inverse of that. We look at what is the leakage, what are the dollars of goods and services that are leaving Cottonwood to buy goods and services elsewhere. And that is a staggering number of $780 million. Now, that's not a unique problem. Communities across the country have big leakage. For me, I think I just see a whole lot of opportunity there. When I broke down your leakage, you have $27 million in health and personal care, places like spas, nail salons. With Sedona in your backyard, that's not unfathomable. $99 million in general merchandise, places like Dollar General, Walgreens. $82 million in food service. That's anything from a full service sit-down restaurant to your quick service fast food restaurants. $53 million in gas stations, $42 million in building materials. And I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, we've got a lot of gas stations, we've got Home Depot, we've got my favorite restaurant. This is just what our data is telling us. People are leaving Cottonwood to buy elsewhere, which to us says that's where we start. Our goal is to be the artist of painting a picture of Cottonwood to these retailers as to why they should come here. And that is where we start with this data.
That's all the money going to Costco.
We'll talk about Costco. Again, this is our process. Within 60 days, we do a market analysis and a real estate assessment. The market analysis is, to me, it's the boring stuff, but it's stuff that it is a whole bunch of data. We're going to dive deep into your demographics, mobile data. And then we will actually come put our boots on the ground. We'll come to Cottonwood and spend some time here, and we'll catalog all of your real estate. After that, we build out your retail strategy, how we're going to move forward, the people that we're actually going to target. And again, a partnership all along this. This is not something that, we are saying this is what the data shows, and so this is what's going to happen. It is this is what the data shows. How would you guys like to proceed? That's how we'll proceed. And then after that, you guys get to kick your feet up, and we go into business attraction and community representation mode. Market analysis, again, to me, I like to be boots on the ground. I like to be in the communities talking to people, but this is the stuff that we can pull data to do. And for these retailers, this is very important to them because the Costco's and the Trader Joe's of the world are so data analytic heavy. They're going to do all that before they have to spend the money to come to your community. And in the past, things like radius rings and drive times were a big way that people identified your market. Now it's kind of scary, but your cell phones are constantly asking you, can I track this data? Well, we use that data. That data shows us where people are shopping, not only where people are shopping in Cottonwood, but where people are leaving to go shopping. That's how we build that custom trade area. We use mobile data analytics. After that, we look at a peer and void analysis. We're going to look at communities around Cottonwood, Sedona, Prescott, but also nationwide, communities that have your same demographics, that have a similar population, and we want to see what retailers do those communities have, and what is Cottonwood lacking? And of those retailers that Cottonwood is lacking, who's expanding? Again, we then look at the retail leakage analysis. That's going to give us kind of a breakdown of it's a good starting place. Again, when we come on with a community, our job is to be able to tell the story of Cottonwood better than you guys can. And I know all of you are sitting out there thinking, no way. And I would be too if I was you. But when we're out with these national retailers, we're speaking the language that they want to know about Cottonwood. We're talking about traffic counts, and we're talking about individual site criteria, not just an email that says, hey, have you thought about Cottonwood? One of our measures of success is how many national retailers are actually in Cottonwood, boots on the ground, looking at specific real estate sites that we pointed them to. Obviously, the biggest mark of success is stores opening. But if they're in your area, like I said before, that means that they have spent the time and the money to come there and they're interested. So that is a mark of success for us. And then along with this market analysis, we do a deep dive into psychographics. I was talking earlier about, Aldi and Trader Joe's. Now they are so much more concerned about a specific profile of customer. Back in the day, it was how many rooftops do you have? How many people do you have? Now, Trader Joe's wants to be where Trader Joe's wants to be in place. They want to be a secondary market to Walmart, and they want to be in an area that has highly educated and underpaid people, because they want to know that they know that their customer cares about the product but can't pay full price for a Whole Foods. And these are things that we know. We know that Aldi, discount grocery is on the rise. Aldi is expanding heavily all across the country. So these psychographic analysis are very important to us. And we got really lucky. And I say lucky, but it's just leveraging our relationships. Our director of marketing, she used to work for Buxton, who was a big data provider across the country. And some guys from Buxton broke off and they started a data provider company called Calibrate. Calibrate started in the UK as an oil and gas pricing model, and they realized that they could leverage that pricing model to do site selection for gas stations. They got really good at that, and then they thought, well, if we can do it for gas stations, we can do it for any company, any retailer. And so they started doing that, and they bought up a ton of companies in the United States. And now all of these companies use Calibrate's data for their site selection tool. And because we had the inside track, we knew some of the people that started that company. They gave us an exclusive contract to use their data. They don't let anybody else in our industry use it. But that gives us, we use the data that these big retailers use. So it kind of sets us apart. And again, mobile data collection, it's very scary to me, but it is necessary. This is a heat map of where people in Cottonwood also shop. So you can see the darker areas are the more concentrated areas of where people shop, but all the way out to Perkinsville and other places. When we do our real estate assessment, this is the stuff I like. This is the boots on the ground. When we actually get to be in your community and really interacting with you guys, we do what's called recon. First, we'll start with a market tour. Again, we have a commercial real estate background, so that's always heavily on our mind. But there's things, a lot of commercial real estate firms, all they care about is data subscriptions because they can see everything from Google Earth. Well, we know from experience that being in a community tells a lot better of a story than Google Earth does. You find out so many more things from property owners, from you guys, and from you guys that Google Earth can't tell you. So we start with our market tour, and then we do a kind of a retail 101 course with you guys. We want to, educate you on the process, tell you about the timelines. We want you to know ahead of time how this process works, not just with us, but with national retailers, so that everybody from the get-go is pulling the rope the same way. We're going to do a fam tour with you guys so that, again, we can get the local expert knowledge. And then I think the most important part of all of this is the stakeholders meeting. We get city staff, EDC staff, property owners, business owners. What I always say is anybody that's going to touch a project or anybody that cares about a project. I don't know about Cottonwood. Cottonwood has a lot of people that care, so that might be a big stakeholder meeting. But anybody that cares for a long-term vision of Cottonwood, let's get them involved. That's where we get your wish list. What do you want to see? What are your goals moving forward? And how do we? I always say it's so boring to say that we're just retail consultants. We are doing a very simple thing to get you to a long-term goal. The vehicle that we use, bringing national retail to town, is how we get you to these long-term goals, building your tax base. And I think this stakeholders meeting is a great way to start it off because, we want we want to know not only what you want, but what you don't want. A good example, Granbury, Texas. We worked with them and they have, at the end of one of their retail corridors, there's like 7 fried chicken places. And they're like, no more fried chicken. Obviously, across the country, coffee, car washes, and fried chicken are the things that are expanding the most. And so it would have been easy for us to put another fried chicken joint or two in Granbury, but they didn't want anymore. So we're not gonna shove anything down your throats that you guys don't want. And again, Cottonwood is so beautiful and has so much charm. We've got to do it in a way that we preserve all of that. When we do our real estate assessment, we are cataloging every property in town. We look at a map kind of holistically because, when you may look at your own property, your house, and your property lines, and this is what's mine. But when we look at a city, whether it's on market or off market, it's dirt for development or something that could be redeveloped. We're going to catalog it and put it in a category because you never know. When we come to town, we get to be the third party that, you guys might know those property owners that say, you'll pry my land out of my cold dead hands. And there's some of those in every town. But sometimes when it comes from a third party, we don't come in and say, hey, we'd like you to sell. We just come in and say, hey, what's going on? Is there something that you would like to see happen with your land? Sometimes they are holding on to it because they do want to see it developed. They just haven't been approached by the right person. Or maybe there is a business on it currently and they don't know how to get out of it. They would like to be out of it and have someone redevelop it. They just don't know how to do that. So we're able to come in and be a third-party voice. Again, we want everybody to win. We want everybody to pull the rope the same way. So we look at available property, off-market property, anything for new development. And I will say, driving around today, there was a lot of property that I saw a lot of potential with. The old bank site I think it was a bank by Chipotle. That is a prime retail spot. There's an antique shop on South Main that would be great for something. And there is a lot of land. There's a piece of land. I'm staying at the Hampton Inn. There's a piece of land catty corner to the Hampton Inn that it seems like town is growing that way. I think that would be a perfect spot for a new development. I don't know, there's the land across, east of 260 across from Walmart. Man, that is some primo location. Again, a lot of times when we go to town, our biggest problem right now with the cost of building so high, our biggest problem is that retailers want to be in second generation spaces, but there's just no availability. You guys have some of that, but you also have space for new development. So you guys have a lot of opportunity for real estate that a lot of other places don't have. And I'm sorry, I love to yap, so I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can. Okay, so after our market analysis and our retail strategy, and our real estate assessment, we then come to the our retail strategy. This happens at about day 90. So within the first 60 days, you're going to get your market analysis and your real estate assessment. At day 90, we will have your retail strategy built out, and this will be presented to you basically for approval. And this is where you get to hear about regional and local trends, what we think are prospects that fit your area based on what we've heard from you, what our market analysis tells us, and what your real estate allows. Every retailer has a checklist for their real estate sites that they need to come to town. And that is what the individual site analysis is. So once we've presented that to you guys, you say yes, and then that's what I like to call, you guys get to kick your feet up and start watching us do the hard work. At that point, you will also get a marketing packet that you can put on your website. You can have in town. If there's developers that come to town, it's basically it's a marketing material concierge. We have a lot of communities, especially like you guys. I feel like you have a big potential for growth. And so that means that you may have a developer coming to town one week and you need something specific, a specific site packet. We'll get that for you. Another developer comes to town and wants to look at the same property, but they have different ideas. You're going to need a different site packet for that. We can get you that. And again, we can update all that on your website. But then I like to yap, so that's when the fun for me starts. That's when our retail recruiters and our portfolio directors really start to advocate for you guys. We go to a ton of trade shows, and actually just a couple days ago we learned, there's 3 major trade shows that would affect your market. ICSC, International Council of Shopping Centers in Las Vegas, Western, which is in Palm Springs, and then there's another organization called Retail Live, and they haven't done anything in this part of the country since COVID, but they just announced that they will be back in February in Denver. And I know you guys are thinking like all these things are very far away from us, but regionally, that is when those are the shows where people are talking about Arizona and talking about Cottonwood. Specifically at ICSC Western, which was in September, we actually met with the developer that did the Human Bean in Cottonwood. So we know developers that have already worked in the area. We know that Panera is expanding in Arizona, Wingstop, Buffalo Wild Wings Go. They have everyone's kind of going to these smaller footprint, faster pace, but we know that there's already people expanding to the area, and now that you have another trade show coming to the area, and I talk about trade shows like you guys know what those are. When a trade show happens, every national retailer from across the country converges on these spots, and that's when we're able to get them all in one place, open our portfolio and say, I'm sorry. So we're able to look at whereas we may be able to do 100 emails a week to national retailers, we can meet with hundreds of people in one day at these trade shows. Again, site due diligence and targeted outreach. So again, a measure of success for us is not just sending an email saying, hey, we're in Cottonwood, y'all heard about us? It is, hey, we have this spot on 303 South Main in Cottonwood. It's X amount of acres. It has a left turn in on the AM side of the road. You can stack 2 drive-through lanes, and that's why you should be there. When we get a response from that, we know that we're doing our job correctly. Again, at these conferences, you are going to see, before we go to any conference, we're going to update your marketing guide so that, the real estate is up to date, your numbers are up to date, so that when national retailers are getting everything that they can, as well as the site due diligence. This is just an example of what our outreach looks like. These are communities in Texas. The one on the far left, they're a new client, so they had a lot more outreach than the others, but you can see we are pumping out the outreach to all of our clients to make sure that everybody's getting the most love. I work in the office with Brooke Hill. She would be your portfolio director. She's a rock star through and through. She cares about her communities. John Mark Boozer is the youngest guy I know that knows more real estate than any old guy I know. Clay Kraft is our vice president of client services, and he's been with the company for almost 12 years. He is one of our rocks. I don't know who that dashing man with the mustache is on the right there, but underneath that, Matt Yeager, he's our director of recruitment services. Madison Bush is also on our recruitment team, and Ashton is our data architect. These are just the people that would be on your team. That is also backed by our executive team. That's backed by 40 other portfolio directors and retail recruiters, as well as 40 other commercial real estate agents. Now, this is a little bit on the education piece. When we come to a community, we ask for a 3-year contract. And the reason that we ask for a 3-year contract is because deals do take time. A typical real estate retail transaction takes anywhere from 18 to 36 months. And that's just because there are so many touch points between investors on Wall Street to dirt turning and registers ringing. And there's so many things that can go wrong in between there. I think of it as like a poker game. All these guys are holding their cards and they've got money that they want to put on the table, but they're not going to show their cards until they know everything's right. And we, like I said earlier, we want to touch every single aspect of the project so that we know that things are going to move forward smoothly, everybody's communicating, and we can get there as fast as possible. I think I hate that we call ourselves consultants. I think of like Scrooge McDuck when I think of consultant, but I think the way that we combat that is to be 100% transparent with what we do for you guys. We want you guys to know that the money you're spending is well worth it, and the way we do that is to show you our work. And so reporting is a big deal to us. You get a quarterly business review, and that's going to show you everybody that we've talked with, and it's going to tell you what their feedback is, not only the yeses and the wins that we've had, but also the no's. We are hungry for no's because a lot of times we follow a no up with a why. Why don't you guys want to come to Cottonwood? Sometimes it's as simple as, well, you guys didn't have a turn in on this side of the road. And if we've been doing our job right and working with that developer, we can call that developer and say, hey, put a turn in right there. And in a week's time, we turn a no into a yes. You get a report after every single trade show that we go to. And at every trade show, if you are our client, we talk to every retailer across the country about you guys. And you will get a recap of what they have said about coming to Cottonwood. You get retail trends, not just what's going on with Cottonwood, but what's going on nationally. Things have been in flux lately, and it's affected our economy, and it's affected the way that retailers are opening. And so we want you guys to know that. And again, being transparent with you guys. And the way that we do that is we have a simple login to an app called Basecamp 4. You can log in on your computer, and it's just a portal that allows you to see every piece of communication that we have with retailers, every email we send, every call we make, so you guys know that we're not just sitting on our behinds, not doing anything for you, that it is a daily grind working for the community. Again, this is what you get with our partnership, market analysis, retail recruitment, marketing guide. We have worked with 800 clients and have never gone over budget. That's why we just do a yearly fee. These are some of our success stories. I will let you guys read through these because I know that I have taken up a lot of your time. But I would love to hear some questions or some feedback. And again, I got into this because I want to see communities grow, how they want to grow. And I know that my team cares about our communities. It's not just about a paycheck. So I hope you guys know that going into this. Questions?
I'll start off by saying I'll save you a little time.
Okay.
Chicken might be okay, but no more Mexican food. We got great Mexican food here, and I think we're about done with Mexican food. So.
Deal.
So we don't need a Del Taco, you don't think?
Who has access to Basecamp Live?
So when we start, you will have a main point of contact who will be your portfolio director. And then we've had as little as one person and as many as 5 or 6 people. And honestly, you guys can share those logins however you want. Again, it is about transparency. What we always say is that a community we never want the information that comes from us to bottleneck anywhere. We want everyone to know what we're doing. So if that means you guys want everybody to have a login, we can make that happen because it is important to us that everybody knows the work that we do, what we're seeing from our clients. There's a lot of output from us. So that means there's going to be a lot of feedback. We don't want just one person getting all that feedback. We want it shared amongst the community.
Yeah, I was just concerned that it might be public knowledge. It's not going to be public knowledge.
No, ma'am. It will not be public knowledge unless you guys want it to be. There are instances where, if we're working with a developer, there are instances where they will not allow us to tell what retailer they're working with. Sometimes they don't want to show their cards right until the end, but we will inform you guys of that beforehand.
I really was interested to understand the approach that you take. I had not thought of the complexity of it, and especially the real estate factor. And the extent of the service that you provide in that area, it's really key to the process.
And what I've learned over time is that one of the reasons that so many communities use our service is because they don't have the time. It really takes keeping your foot on the gas all the time in front of these national retailers. If you're out of their scope of expansion, but you want them to be there, you better be waving their hand in front of them every single day, and that's what it takes to get them there, along with a laundry list of other things. And that's what we're really good at, is keeping our foot on the gas, keeping our finger on the pulse, knowing what we need to do to make it happen, and what makes them look at a place when they're not looking there already. But a lot does go into it, yes, ma'am. And that's why it's hard for 1 or 2 or 5 people in an economic development organization or a city to do it by themselves. I think it takes that specific background and know-how to really make it happen.
Well, it's really one of the different aspects of this is that in discussions with community development, that wasn't really expressed. It was not their job exactly, or to go after retailers to bring them into the community. So that's a real shift to have somebody working specifically on that and through the mechanisms that your company is using.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned community development. Somebody told me one time that successful retail recruitment can't happen until successful community development has happened. And you guys have certainly done that. And I was talking to these guys earlier about retail being a pyramid. To get the Trader Joe's and the Costco's here, we've got to build up to that. That is a long-term play. But you guys have a great base, and you have a great community around you. And for so long, there was a very traditional way of looking at economic development and of looking at retail recruitment. And like I said, it was, is there a big employer that provides primary jobs in town? And if so, that means that there will be enough rooftops. And if there are enough rooftops, that means you will get retail. Now, it's almost flipped on its head. These big national retailers, these big industry people, they want to know that they are coming to a community that will support them. There is so much money involved on their end that before they take a leap of faith and spend a bunch of money to come to a community, they're going to look at it and scrutinize it and say, are we really going to sink a bunch of money in this? And I will say, I called my wife today and I said, I don't know why so many people talk about Sedona. Cottonwood is awesome. I think you guys have a great base and couple levels of the pyramid built, and are ready to keep building on that.
I had a couple comments or questions. The first, let me just say first, I enjoyed your presentation and I agree with the proposal. My first comment was that I guess as you prepare the strategy, I'd like to see consideration of the city's economic development strategy considered, as well as its vision and mission statement, because while it's good to bring in the big retailers, the small businesses are integral to what makes Cottonwood Cottonwood. So I think that and other elements that are in our economic development strategy should be part of the overall retail strategy.
I completely agree. And like I said, I come from a small business background. To me, that is a successful small business in a town is a snapshot of that town, of that town's identity. And so I think, like I said, being able to bring in more nationally credited tenants while keeping that charm and that small business identity is going to be very important here. And just so you guys know, and maybe this is the wrong wrong one to do, but a Mexican food place and a Taco Bell can exist at one time. The small businesses can always exist with national retailers. It is not always, you always think of these big guys as they're running the small guys out. But what we've seen over time is that people are consciously seeking out small business. When they want to go to the national retailers, they will. But people are intentional about when they shop local and when they shop small. So I think you guys have such a stronghold on your small business community and community here that I don't think that would be at harm. But you are correct. We would never come in and not take, we're always going to look at the elements of the plan before we go and do anything. And again, we work for you guys, so we would never do anything to jeopardize what you have going on.
My other comment is your proposal is certainly consistent with our economic development strategy, which talks about, working very hard to remain the economic and commercial hub of the Verde Valley, so people will continue to want to shop, dine, and recreate in Cottonwood. So that's perfect, and that's all important. At the same time, our economic development strategy also talks about its limited economic diversity. And we are, as a city, already pretty heavily focused on retail. And critical to the success of our overall economic development and citizens' quality of life is attracting different types of industries. And so my comment here maybe not one so much for you, Mr. Sutterth, but for the city in general, in terms of, I think the proposal here is good, but I'd also like to see the same thing being done for other businesses. And I think, as is explained in our economic development strategy very well, is that Cottonwood lags behind the county and the state in terms of earnings. Our workers earn less than the county and state. And a SWOT analysis reported that there's poor retention of young people in the area due to quality job availability. So, I think it's just important to have a diversity of businesses. And so maybe that's a subject for another day, that's another proposal by another company perhaps, unless it's something that could be rolled in, I don't know. But I think it's important that we not just focus on retail in our city.
I agree. And I'll give you a story. I think nowadays one thing complements the other. I think that, again, traditionally, a town had a source of primary jobs, and that meant that they were able to have rooftops, and that's what brought retail. Recently, there was there's been a bit of an exile of big business from California, moving to other states. And there was a business that was thinking about relocating right outside of Nashville, or about 2 hours outside of Nashville. And he took his wife on the company jet to go to this community. And it was great. They had an awesome downtown. But at the end of the day, the wife said, look, the closest Target is in Nashville. There's nowhere like a Target. I just can't do this. And the deal fell through. So I think that one thing leads to the other these days. For a primary jobs provider to come to town, you've got to have the things that workforce wants to live here. And so again, I think I completely agree with you. To keep a workforce in town, there has to be the jobs. But to get a workforce provider, there has to be the things that they want here.
My thought process is exactly the same, 100%, and it's in my notes as well. Retail is typically a low income or lower income, so we need to do both. This is an excellent presentation, absolutely, I love it, but that's in the process as well as far as businesses.
And I'll be completely transparent with you guys. We as a company we don't live in that world. It's a completely different process of recruiting industry. But I do think it complements that. The only reason I know that is because I hear it from so many people. I hear it from the CEOs, and I also hear it from economic developers. Again, I know I'm yapping too much.
No, you're good. I just want to add to a few things since I'm city staff, and I feel like I should say something to answer your question, Vice Mayor. I think it's very important for you all to know that I'm so thrilled to have this insight and to obviously provide such intel that they can bring to us for Cottonwood. With that said, the economic development strategy has a lot of priorities. That is one thing that I want to mention Michelle and I are working on to digest and break it down so that it's realistic. Because everything in there is a priority right now, and it's all for every year from here through the next 5 years. So we're trying to break that down. That's my first point. And the other one is that I believe, as I had asked Tyler earlier today, as I kind of expected that question as far as how do we diversify our economy for a better workforce, better paying jobs. And what I was told, and I think he shared with me, and I agree, is that when we have more retail, it obviously helps with, what's that saying, the ships rise as all tides, all whatever that saying is, all tides.
A rising tide lifts all ships.
Thank you. Okay. So with that, it's like more retail opportunities comes more development opportunities, which comes more opportunities in general. But we also want to provide small business, areas. And it's really hard, as he mentioned, and I'm thankful for, this is probably the first time in the 6 years I've been here that anyone has mentioned, and this is not a kudos for me, but we're a one, and now I have somebody here to help me. We're 2 people in a department that usually takes 5 or 6, if not 10. So I'm thankful, and this group is also going to help us, as you mentioned, Tyler, about if we have a specific parcel, we have a specific industry. Like I have 2 confidential businesses that have called me directly. The developers have called me and asked for specific information. I can't share that with you yet, but they want to know specifically what parcels are available. I'm not a realtor. I can reach out and I know how to do that, but to have a site selection, like specific information, so it's a partnership is what I'm saying. We can use them to help us provide better opportunities to bring in large developments or other opportunities that will bring higher paying jobs or even just good paying jobs in addition to what we have already. So I think of it as another resource, another tool in the toolbox that we can use that's very savvy in this industry and they know what they're talking about. And that's a huge relief for me because for many years, we do a good job, I believe, of telling the story that Cottonwood is a great place to live and work and play. But what does that mean specifically? And that was one of my questions initially is how do we get that technical data that a developer that's very savvy is looking for? And I'm not, this is the kind of firm and the partnership that will be very valuable. So I hope that answers.
Just FYI, if you don't even know, APS has a huge inventory of our property in Cottonwood.
They do,
that
yes.
you can access.
I did give him a copy of the SWOT analysis, and I did warn him that everybody in Cottonwood that has provided input, they're very passionate and they have a lot to say, so he's ready for that. So
I love it.
I know,
I
right?
said a quiet council meeting is a lot scarier than a talking.
Yeah. Any other questions for us? Yes.
So first, let me go on record, my personal opinion. You can never have too much fried chicken.
I agree.
I think that's true too.
So just so you know, this presentation says that the client-staff ratio is 4-to-1, but in your proposal it says 5-to-1. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And what are the other communities you work with in Arizona?
It's a good question. And I will be frank with you that we don't have a strong presence in Arizona. Part of that is because we have not had we just this week filled the position for business development in the mountain, what we call the Mountain West Territory.
Oh, you got to move to
Oh,
the...
sorry. For the past probably year and a half, we have not had a business developer in the Mountain West territory, and that includes Arizona. We do work with Clarkdale. I know they are your neighbors, and I think we should probably go ahead and talk about them being so close. Generally, we wouldn't work with a community so close by, just because I know for on my side of the fence, whether regionality is great. When a retailer is popping up somewhere, that's a good thing. That means they're getting close to you. On your side of the fence, if it's not within your city limits, that means you're not getting the tax dollars. So I understand that. However, I think the reason that we are ethically okay with working with both of you is because they are completely different markets. I talked about retail being a pyramid. You guys are on a completely different rung of the pyramid than Clarkdale. The other thing is, it all comes down to real estate. You guys have completely different real estate than Clarkdale. To be frank, the work that we have done in Clarkdale probably benefits you guys more than it does Clarkdale. People are interested in this region. They're just more interested in Cottonwood as a viable market. I don't think I have to tell you guys why. It's because there's more people here, there's more going on, there's more activity, there's more real estate. And you know, when we first set out to bid on this RFP, it was at the recommendation of Clarkdale's EDC. So we didn't see much of we didn't think that that would be a problem. So again, we don't right now have a strong presence in Arizona. However, like I said, we just hired a business developer for the Mountain West. Her name's Kate Havlick. I think you guys will meet her shortly, hopefully. And we hope to grow out here. And again, we know that retailers want to come here. And once we start bringing them here, we know that other communities will respond.
No.
Thank you guys so much for your time. Appreciate you guys having me.
Thanks. Thank you.
Very good.
All right, council, next is the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Is there any such concern about any of these?
I have a question on consent agenda item 3. Should I ask the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this question is directed towards utilities. Okay, so my question is, so this subject is about the contract for RH Board & Company to conduct an inflow and infiltration assessment of the sewage collection system for $56,000. So my question, Mr. Whitmer, is the technology fully validated or not? Because the way the briefing package is written suggests, as I read it, that the technology is not validated. It talks about the data from the pilot test that was conducted as being promising, which to me doesn't sound the same as validated, and therefore if it's not validated, I don't think we should be paying for the service. But maybe I'm misinterpreting the briefing package.
Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, it has been validated.
Okay.
It has. the use of the word was not intended to be that it's not validated. It was simply stating that they had already done preliminary testing themselves at other locations, and the results of that looked very promising. And so rather than jump into this without completely validating on our own, we did a pilot study just to make sure that it would work with our system. The data that we got back from that showed that it was very, very good and confirmed exactly what we were hoping it would. So yes, it is validated.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Are there any other concerns on the consent agenda from anyone, anywhere, within the public or council? If not, any of you would like to make a motion to approve, we can do that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that moves us into new business. The following items are for council discussion, consideration, possible legal action. This is consideration and approval of a license and right-of-way use agreement between the City of Cottonwood and WeCom LLC.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am Kirsten Lennon, the Financial Services Director here at the City of Cottonwood. Tonight we have before you an agreement to allow WeCom to come and bring fiber internet throughout the city. This is a standard agreement that you typically do with other, just totally lost my train of thought. Utilities, we currently have one of a similar nature with APS, Unisource, Cable One, those types of organizations. We do have two representatives here from WeCom, Paul Fleming and Andy Tobin. They have a presentation. They do not have to, they even stated if you'd like to see the presentation, they'd be more than happy to get up and give it to you. But if not, they are definitely here to answer any questions you have. And so I will kind of leave it up to you whether you would like to see the presentation or just be able to ask questions of them.
I love presentations. I would love to see the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, they had to sit through a big one themselves, so they earned the right.
So I'm going to have Andy Tobin come up first and introduce himself, and he would like to say a few words before the presentation.
Where would I know that name?
Hi, Mr. Tobin.
My friends, thank you. Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, my name is Andy Tobin. I live at 20755 North Hackamore in Paulden, Arizona, which is just over the hill and a little bit over the ways, but I'm right behind the river, which is right in front of you for the river, so we have a lot of things in common. I thank you for your time. I also thank you for your service, having been an elected official. I know this is not an easy task, and I know it gets late sometimes, but I'm here with some good news. And, I thought I was retiring. I spent years in the legislature, as some of you know. I spent years working and did the administration for Governor Ducey, which is like the city manager for the state, but nowhere near as intelligent as yours. We just ran it and did the best we could. But I was at the Arizona Corporation Commission, the Water Infrastructure Fund Authority, went on. It was always my fight for rural Arizona water, for rural Arizona resources. And more than anything else, I go back 20 years fighting for E-rate and broadband to our schools and broadband to rural Arizona to solve for the rural divide that hampers our economic development. Quite frankly, we have an opportunity here to have our staff and people be able to work from home, to work in their businesses and have state-of-the-art, our hospitals. Or when you start talking about whiteboards for education, we've heard these promises before. I'm here to tell you that the dream has arrived. We are in places in Arizona that I never thought we'd go to, from the Hualapai Nation to La Paz to Paulden, Arizona. They're coming to, who comes to Paulden, Arizona? We have an opportunity here, and I'm very proud to have been part of this. My wife told me, you can't retire. You'll drive me crazy. And I was so lucky to have teamed up with a group that is so committed to working from the outside in. And when I mention that to you, I mean it sincerely. You know, instead of from Phoenix out and the big cables that go out this way, and they wait their turn for populations to grow further away, and then they join. These folks work from the outside in. It's a 60-year-old company who was founded and grew up, and they're still in Kingman, Arizona, our neighbor to the west. And so I'm very proud of this group. I share with you that I think what you're going to hear this evening is a very brief description of what's coming here your way. And we have been through, and our counties include Cottonwood, Yavapai, Coconino, La Paz, Pinal, Gila, some Navajo. If that's not rural Arizona and our rural Arizona, I don't know what is. And so I wanted to open the door up for you tonight to know that this is real. These are things that are going to make a big difference in your community. And it's not going to cost you anything. They're coming, they're putting their own money in. We've been on federal contracts, which is also coming. President Paul Fleming is from a family that started this business in Kingman. So I wanted to have the opportunity to introduce him to some of you who I've known in days gone by, and as a neighbor, to welcome Paul Fleming and WeCom Fiber here to Cottonwood. So thank you, Paul.
I think following anyone who says that a dream has arrived is a pretty tough speech. So
welcome just the same.
Yeah. But I would like to say thank you to the council, the mayor, everyone for allowing us to come and speak tonight. Thank you to the staff, the general counsel. I know a number of you have recently went up to Flagstaff to see some of our micro trenching demos. We really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy schedules to do so. I want to go off script just for a minute. I wish that your retail research gentleman was still here, because a lot of what we're doing is complements what he's talking about. Throughout the state, I work with a lot of economic development groups, and one of the things that they'll call me often, they'll say, hey, listen, I have XYZ retail wanting to come in, and they're going to buy these 15 acres, they're going to do all this, but we don't have fiber broadband there. They're unwilling to come if that won't be available. Can you build it? Can you build it in the next 2 months? And I do this all over the state, and it's interesting how often a retailer or a higher education or a different kind of community benefits, they will not migrate to an area if they cannot get the broadband that they rely on, because everything is digital nowadays. And so I wish they would have stayed, because it's really complements. As Andy had spoken about, and I'll go into in a minute, we're putting $20 million into Cottonwood. So it's our private capital. It's not a grant. We do have some grant funds that build outside of the Cottonwood-Clarkdale area, but we're building Cottonwood with $20 million of our own capital that we're infusing in the area. Although we don't bring hundreds of thousands of jobs, the jobs we do bring are all high paying. So we hire locally, we hire fiber splicers and et cetera, with jobs that start at $75,000 a year and go up to $150,000 a year. So they're definitely a little higher paying than your retail jobs, so we bring those to the area. And there's a study that shows the retention of youth when you start to add these types of services into a market, that there's anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20% better retention of keeping youth in an area as they begin to grow, because they can run businesses from home, they have more opportunities. And so I am unfortunately missed him, but I am happy that these kind of actually work hand in hand together with what we're proposing, what we're doing throughout the state, and kind of what you guys were talking with him. Do I control the slides up here? I sure do, thank you. All right. And as I said, I will go fast, so please interrupt. Let me know if there's any questions. I won't take up a lot of your time. We were founded in 1956 in Kingman, Arizona, so we're more than 68 years old now. Been in telecommunications the entire time. So as a local Arizona company with more than 68 years of communication experience, it's really given us a unique position to understand how to build the next generation of fiber and telecommunications while maintaining the beauty and uniqueness of Arizona. A lot of companies will come in from out of state. They don't understand how hard it is to build in the rocks. They don't understand the diversity of being somewhere in Phoenix, which is more desert, all the way up into Flagstaff, which is going to get one of the highest amounts of snow and has a lot of thaw cycles. So us having this 68 years in Arizona and building throughout the entire state really brings a unique position where we can maintain that beauty and historic nature of Arizona. I'm going to skip this slide, but we have a fantastic leadership team. Between our leadership group, throughout the United States, we have built, I think it's coming up on 1.7 million homes with fiber. So we bring a lot of experience to the table. Bridging the digital divide is really what's in our blood right now. It's what WeCom stands for. Throughout the state, we take this outside-in approach that Andy was talking about, where we look at a market and we say, what has been ignored? Where you live at in a community, or where you live out in the state, should not dictate whether or not you can or cannot get quality, high-speed broadband. So we say, how do we accomplish this? We should be able to build an exterior or the outside, more rural, un- and underserved locations and work our way back into a denser area. And so we've built an entire plan around bridging this digital divide. We have everything going from, let's see, I don't want to get ahead of myself, I kind of jump around too much, but we are building, this year we're about to finalize 20,000 homes that are all un- and underserved. So what that means is they live in rural locations throughout Mojave, La Paz, Coconino County, Yavapai County, and they do not get service at all, or what they get is so antiquated that they can barely get online. And so we have 20,000 homes that are just un- and underserved that we will have finalized building and have online in the next 2 months. We have about 16,000 of those are already up and operational, and we'll finish the last 4,000. We're presently building almost 300,000 homes in the state, but a large chunk of those homes are all un- and underserved. So they're very rural, and it's really about kind of finalizing that digital divide and giving a communication experience across the state that everyone can be proud of. BEAD. So this is a little bit different of a subject. I talked about the $20 million that we're putting into Cottonwood. We're also building Prescott and Prescott Valley right now, Flagstaff, all with our own money. We also have won, or provisionally won, what's called the BEAD Award. And what that is that it's a grant that was awarded to us to help build a lot more of these un- and underserved areas. So the main point of this slide is we are actually going to be building all of Yavapai County. So if it is not considered served, if it's anything that's un- and underserved, we will be building it with fiber, along with Cottonwood, Clarkdale, Prescott Valley, and so forth. So in essence, you will see us throughout the entire county. We are already, right now, we're almost done with 7,000 un- and underserved homes. We've started our construction in Prescott Valley. We're starting our construction in Prescott in about a week. And we've actually done a lot of work with Cottonwood, and we appreciate all the hard work you put into it, of kind of working ahead with permits and so forth. So this is just to kind of paint that picture that it's not specific to one area as much as we're trying to help solve the problem throughout all of Yavapai County. When we get into the Cottonwood specific conversation, our goal is to build all of Cottonwood. So reach every household, business, future coming business with the retail plans you guys have coming, medical, etc. So that everything within Cottonwood is covered with next generation fiber telecommunications. The $20 million that I was talking about, that is privately funded, so we're putting that in. We're not asking for anything from the city. We're not asking for anything from anybody else. The money, we're actually in a really unique position in the fact that the money's already sitting there. So I've already taken the money, I've already put it in a separate bank account, it's allocated to Cottonwood, we are ready to spend it at this moment. As opposed to some projects, they look for approval, then they go back, they beg for money, they go to their private equity firms, they try to raise the money. Our money is already raised, it's already sitting there, it's already approved within my company, the board's approved it, it's stamped, it's ready to go. We've already designed the entire city. We've been working with your public works department to kind of go through those permits and get those rolling so that we're ahead of the game. We are absolutely committed and ready to go. So we're really excited about this project.
Mr. Fleming, can I just ask?
Absolutely.
Do I understand correctly, the BEAD money is federal?
Yeah.
Are you relying on that? So things are in flux, obviously, at the national level. So if that money were to get frozen or not be available, would it have any impact on this project?
Absolutely none. So the initial 7,000 homes that are all un- and underserved that we're building in Yavapai County, those are almost done, paid for, finished. That was a project we did with the county. Prescott Valley, Cottonwood, Clarkdale, Flagstaff, etc., all private funds, not related to anything from the BEAD side or any other federal funding at all. If that funding goes away, it's irrelevant to what we're doing. All that funding does for us is help us fill in the rest of the gap. So there's a lot of areas that surround these cities that have very poor service and they've been neglected for a long period of time. But they're very expensive to build to because they're rural. So what that does is we're going to be putting in, to build the rest of these areas throughout the state, we're going to put in another $200 million on top of that. And the federal funds put in about $200 million, and combined we have enough money to build those rural areas because they're very expensive to build. Entirely separate project though, and it does not have any bearing on what we're doing today. Fantastic question, by the way. Some of you guys who drive back and forth, we do have a local office in Prescott where, which just brings me back to one of the original things I was talking about with the high-paying jobs. One of the things that's really important to us as a company is that we hire locally and we work within the community. So every community we go to, whether it be in Kingman, Show Low, et cetera, we always try to hire local people so that we're giving back to the community. We have a positive economic impact within the community. We also try to be a good community partner. So whether we work with the Boys and Girls Clubs, food drives, Toys for Tots, local rodeo programs, et cetera, so that not only are we here providing a internet service, but we're also trying to give back to the community and be a partner that helps make the community better by us being there and not just a company that operates within there. So it's something that we pride ourselves on, and as we move forward, you'll see us start to bring in the different groups within my company that will start to work within your groups to say, hey, how can we be helpful? What can we do to help bring Cottonwood up? Let's see, I'm going to skip some of these slides. I promised that I would go fast. But again, the real thing is it's a straightforward goal here. We want to bring fast, extremely reliable, extremely affordable fiber, next generation internet to all of Cottonwood. That's what our goal is. This right-of-way license is, of course, paramount for us to be able to do that construction and move forward. Let's see. And that's it. That's the end of the presentation. So really, at this point, if I can answer any questions or explain anything, I'm happy to do so.
So when my neighbor asks me, or I ask you, what's in it for me? Faster, more affordable? Is that?
So faster internet, better services, better customer service, more affordable, more reliable. That's what we do. So
how soon?
Well, we are ready to start construction within about 2 weeks of when permits get approved. So your Public Works Department's been fantastic to work with. We started submitting some permits to them ahead of time, so from initial reviews. Obviously, nothing can move forward without this license. So they've been giving comments back. My design engineering team goes back through those. They make sure everything's corrected. We send them back to Public Works. If they approve it, then within 2 weeks of that, we can start construction. So.
How does the fiber optic kind of tie in with what already exists in terms of like phone lines and cables and stuff like that?
So we don't tie into what they do. So we would be an entirely separate service.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess how is the technology different from like CenturyLink and
okay, so at a high level, the first thing would be by being a fiber provider, everything we do is a light source. So what we're installing is glass. Within that glass, we are shooting light back and forth. So everything we're doing is the speed of light. If you look at a cable service, that's all on copper. So it's done on a coaxial system, which is more of a time division multiplexing and has a different download and upload speed. So not only is what we're doing have a lower latency or it's faster in its transmission of data, we also do everything symmetrically. And what that means is whatever download speed you buy, so if you came to us and you said, I would like to buy 1 gig of speed, you get that for your download speed and your upload speed. A cable provider has a split system, so they might have 900 megs of download and 30 megs of upload. So that upload speed becomes very important as society continues to progress because you're seeing everything's done on Teams and or Zoom meetings now. So it's all video conferences. Phone systems are all going all IP, so they're all over the internet. Everything is being processed now in a real-time, back and forth handshake. So your upload speed becomes extremely important. Your latency, so that time for the information to get where it's going and back, becomes extremely important. Your jitter, which is the time the information takes to get there and back consistently without it slowing down and getting faster, becomes very important for all these services to work and function appropriately. And so what we do is the next generation of services. So we are if you want to say a light source, we're not constrained by the same really laws of physics that a cable system is. Honestly, from a fiber standpoint, they haven't reached the limits of what it can do.
Can I ask too, in terms of the design, how much will be overhead or underground, or I was interested to see the micro trenching aspect of this. What does that look like? How much of it will be which type of installation will you be using?
So we use every variation of installation or construction depending on what's appropriate for the area and what is reliable and cost effective. So we will have aerial. So we have a joint usage agreement with APS, MEC, UES, I mean everyone in the state, which we will construct our fiber on their poles. We do not put up anything new, so if there's not a pole already existing, we will not put up a new pole. We will be underground. From an underground standpoint, it's dependent upon where we're at. So we do micro trenching, standard trenching, plowing, boring. It really is dependent on the location. So you'll see often an intersection crossing. It's not going to be appropriate to trench across that, so we're going to bore underneath it. But yet, in certain neighborhoods, especially with curb and gutter, micro trenching is substantially faster, less expensive, and less invasive, much of a smaller impact on the community. Because we can go through an entire neighborhood with a trench this wide, they can still get out of their driveways, there's no dust because we have a vacuum hooked up the entire time, there's no impact to the community, and it's very, very fast. So it really depends on where we're at and what is the most appropriate construction methodology, but we do all of them. As for the percentage, I don't remember off the top of my head. I think, and I'll have to go back and check, I thought Cottonwood was around 35% aerial and 65% underground, but I need to go back and verify those numbers. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm really curious.
Oh, I'm happy to answer these questions. So
Are you going? Are you going north to south or east to west, or what's the territory you're going to begin and end in?
I would have to go back and look where the beginning portion is. I don't remember. So the way that networks are designed is you need a light source. So we have data centers in multiple states all around. And what we need to do is we need to have a fiber connectivity that takes us all the way back to our data center. So if we look at it in this scenario, we'd say, okay, we need to get from Cottonwood to our data center in Phoenix. Our data center in Phoenix is connected via fiber to all of our other data centers. And as we continue to build, we'll connect Cottonwood to Prescott Valley, so forth. It'll hit Flagstaff, and it'll go back to Kingman to our other data centers. And that creates a ring, so as anything fails, it can automatically heal itself. But we have to start off with the light source somewhere. So they'll say, okay, where's our pickup point? Do we buy from Lumen and buy 100 gig connectivity back to the data center? And let's say that's in the center of the city. We need to start there because if we start building over here, we have no way to turn anybody on. We have to start where the light source is. So I need to go back and look where the design is to say, this is where we're starting, and then everything is split up into sections. So we call them DAs, or distribution areas. So we'll say one cabinet can handle 400 homes, let's say. So we'll design everything around 400 homes or distribution area, and then we continue those designs. And so as one DA gets finished, it'll be lit up, those houses will be turned on immediately, and then we continue to build those off of that. And then we continue to build the redundancy as rings within Cottonwood, and then out exteriorly for major failover. So, thank you. So I guess that was a long way to say I don't know where we're starting at.
And the nearest data center is Phoenix.
From here, the data center we would connect back to initially would be Phoenix, where our other primary data centers in Las Vegas and switch data centers. So those would be the failover data centers we would operate here, and then we connect to different data centers in the United States for different reasons. But those are our two primaries where we have our major upstreams to the rest of the world. So,
And signal degradation
none.
is not an issue like it is on other
Correct.
cable technology.
The way that light source works, everything we build would be in like a 20, 40, and 80 kilometer section, so depending on the electronics we put in, but you can also just do regen, so we don't have signal degradation in this. So it's not, everything we do is over-engineered so that if something happens, and let's say we get a little bit of dirt in the light, a little bit of dirty light, so we lose a couple of dBs, the system continues to operate. It automatically alerts the NOC that you've lost 2 dBs of signal level, 3 dBs, whatever it might be, whatever the threshold is set up, so that they know there's been a degradation, they need to go out and fix it. But the degradation isn't because of distance or how we built it, it's just dirt got in the system at some point or other, so.
Will there be any physical presence in Cottonwood?
We don't. We are looking at a storefront right now so that we have a place for residents to come in, be able to pay their bills, sign up for service, so that we have some technicians that have a home base to go to. Also, when we hire technicians, often they'll have a company van that they just take home with them, so they can go straight to their job sites every morning. But right now, the consideration is a storefront. We have a warehouse in Prescott. We haven't seen a need to have a second warehouse yet, but as things go, we definitely will change it as we have. And so.
Mr. Fleming, I just wanted to follow up on your comment about hiring local talent. I just wanted to put in a plug for our Verde Valley Skilled Trade Center. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's based at Yavapai College in Clarkdale, and it's exactly what it's called, skilled trades. So all the skilled trades, there's a lot of great talent that we'd like to keep in our area. So please consider hiring some of those people, working maybe with the college to work with some of that talent.
So we've done a program with a few other community colleges, AWC, Mojave, et cetera, which it's a free 6-week course where we train people in fiber splicing, fiber maintenance, and so forth. They don't have to pay for it. The state and us as a company and others help fund it, and then they can go into an internship program after that. We have spoken to Yavapai Community College about trying to bring that online also. Our Prescott office actually has a full training classroom in it on the 2nd floor, and it's next door to the community college there, but we can do these classes anywhere. And one of our goals is to start to roll this program out wider so that we can continue to train people within the local communities and then hire them directly so that they can handle these jobs. So, Andy is the most famous person in Arizona, so without question.
Rodney Jenkins, Mr. Candace, President Ryan are going to be with us next Friday, so they've been very supportive.
Not to put you on the spot, but what's the best guess on when it might come to Cottonwood, this service?
If let's say we start construction in the middle of December, we would be turning our first customers on middle of February, about 3 months later.
Wow.
Give or take. Don't write that down. I don't want any, I don't really get on social media, but I don't, but generally, once we start, it's about 3 months after that before we can start to light up the first customers, so.
So I'm amused by the report and issue, submitting a ticket. I had my Sparklight internet go out. I realized that I did not have their phone number, and I don't have a phone book, and I couldn't figure out how to contact them because I needed the internet to connect with them, you know? So yeah, it will be helpful if I at least have the phone number for WeCom before I.
Absolutely, I will get all the phone numbers.
Or an app or something, so that, I don't have to sit there and go, hey, I have to call somebody else to get, can you look up the number so that I can call them?
So when we do an install, you'll see a few things will happen. One, when they're done with the install, they're going to give you a little pamphlet that kind of has general FAQs on it, but also has all the contact information, how to email in for support. You can text us for support. You can get on Twitter and submit something that way for support, and you can call us for support. So we're accessible in every method possible. If you lose that pamphlet, also on your router itself, there's a sticker that has the same information. So you can go look at your router and say, my router's offline, I checked, it's not plugged in, there's no power, there's a sticker right here that gives me all my information that I can call and yell at Paul immediately. So outside of that, I hope that you don't have any outages ever, and you have no reason ever to call angrily, besides to say that we're doing a good job, so.
Well, I wasn't angry. I just wanted my internet back.
We try to make it extremely easy to get a hold of any of our support staff, so. Which our support staff all works in Arizona, so you are not being routed to another country or anything of the nature. I do think there's an issue with this. Local resolution issues are generally resolved in 7 to 10 days. That's actually not accurate. They're generally resolved within 7 to 10 hours, so I need to get that updated. Issues don't last days. That's not true, so I
Well,
just
you've got the
typo.
or less on there, so I guess that helps.
Yeah. Or less. No, it's a lot. That was a mistake. I didn't even see it earlier, so.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Very exciting news. Thank you. Thank you both. Mr. Fleming, Mr. Tobin, thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the license and right-of-way use agreement between the City of Cottonwood and WeCom LLC, and to authorize the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
I'll second.
Okay, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember DeWillis?
Yes.
Councilmember Dowell?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosley?
Yes.
Councilmember Weldon?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Coates?
Yes.
And Mayor Shaw?
Yes.
And that motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next is council member request for future agenda item. Does anyone have a request to add at this time? No. All right.
I'll just say that I know that 2 people asked to be agendized from, called the public, but in my opinion, they don't need to be agendized right now. I heard them, and I'm sure that Mr. Fuentes will address their concerns.
I agree.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, for the record, I distributed my business cards to them and agreed to meet with them with staff, and
Yes.
so we will do so.
Yeah, that would be the appropriate place to begin with their concerns. Thank you. Okay, last is claims and adjustments for November 4th, 2025.
I'll move to accept the claims for November 4th, 2025.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. It's been lovely.